suffering is the only time where you sow a seed into your future, into your harvest. And so think about the enemy. The enemy got you the most stressed, the most angry, and the most reserved and resistant during the time where you're setting up your own harvest. Am I making sense? And the enemy like, aha, now, don't listen. Put your hands in your pocket. Be tight right now. Don't look up. Don't listen to him. Look at your watch. And you don't realize that you are actually setting up your future. Am I making sense? So never give according to the season you're in. You need to give according to the harvest that you want to yield in your next season. I tried to help somebody with that one. So now understanding the seasons. So they're cyclical. They're about God's calling. Because remember, God called Paul. He says he called Paul out of one season, and he's like, now I've called you to be an apostle to the Gentiles. So Paul has spent years of his life, 33 of his years of his life, doing one thing. But then suddenly on the road to Damascus, the season shifted. Am I making sense? And when the season shifted, all of his preparation that he had done, working, going to the school of Gamaliel and learning about Judaism and learning about the Messiah and learning about Jewish history. So when the season shifted, all of his preparation now made sense. Am I making sense? So you've got to ask yourself, where the harvest do I want? And then stop acting like I'm in my season and start sowing seeds for my next harvest. Am I making sense? When you see me and you see me doing stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get this. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna learn this. I'm gonna figure this out. You know why? I'm thinking about the next season. I realize it's gonna be a struggle. I realize I don't know. I realize I go through a season where I'm like, man, I gotta learn all this new stuff. But I also understand that what I'm preparing myself for is the next. Am I making sense? I'm not stuck in the now. I just use the now to set up my next. I want to challenge somebody today. Listen, don't you mutter another negative word about now. Because now is the consequence of what you sowed back then. What you can do right now, though, is say, wait, I don't like now, but I know what I want next. So I'm about to use this season right now to set up my harvest for next. Because the way I used to operate, God, listen, it says, the land you go to possess is not like Egypt. So my next is not like my now. I've got a different season. And there are things that God's going to put in your way that are going to challenge you, but they're going to challenge you. Why? Because God is setting up your harvest. He's setting up your next. Am I making sense? So that means there are sometimes when you get a challenge thrown into your face and you're like, you don't understand how I operate. I don't have that. I can't work with that. I don't operate like that. And what you're having is a now dialogue. You're not thinking about next. You're thinking about how I came out of Egypt, how I operate in Egypt. You don't even know what it's like to be in the promised land. So you've got to understand this. You've got to get ready because Isaiah 43:19 says, behold, I'm doing a new thing. Will you not know it? Imagine now saying to God, what is God going to do with you in 26, 27, 28, 30? Am I making sense? And so now you setting up your 2030. That's what you're doing. I'm not thinking about 2025. This year, all I'm doing is setting up myself. So I'm putting this in line, because I need this to. Listen, I need watermelon in 26. I need wheat in 27. That don't make sense. I need a concrete business in 28. I need to start my third business by 30. So I got to make this business. I got to make this money. I got to sell it. I got to buy this. I got to buy these assets called houses. And I'm gonna live in them. I'm gonna put my picture up as Prophet has said, but I'm gonna put it up with the little double-sided tape. Because I'm not gonna put holes in my asset. I'm just gonna pull it off and then go to my next one because I've got to move from this idea of state to season. Go to my next slide. So in biblical times, it's interesting. In biblical times, what's interesting is that we think about spring, summer, autumn, and winter. In biblical times, when they thought about seasons, it was really only two. It was really only summer and winter. Summer was the time of the harvest. So all they thought about is the time of the harvest, and winter, the time of the rain, and the time when you shouldn't travel that much. So they saw time in terms of two seasons. A season of the harvest and a season where the harvest gets watered. They saw time as a season of yielding what I've sown into the ground, and a time of whatever got in the ground now is now being nurtured and being fed by nature so that it yields a crop. That's it. There is no in between. Am I making sense? And during the winter time, rain would come, inclement weather would come, but we wouldn't worry about it because there was also a time where there was not a lot of movement in the winter because the weather was too harsh. So they didn't move a lot in the winter. So winter is not the season for your come up. Winter is a season to set things up for your harvest. Am I making sense? Prove it, Dr. Moody. Summer, the time of the harvest, right? 1 Chronicles 21. It says in the spring was the time that the kings went to war. When you were a king, you would always go to war from a military standpoint during the spring, because that's when you can move stuff and you can move troops and the weather worked with you guys. One of the greatest military moves that even military strategists are blown away by today is the move of Hannibal. Because Hannibal left Carthage, an African man who decided that he wanted to attack the insurmountable Rome on Roman soil. Nobody had dared do that before. And so Hannibal said, we're going to surprise them, because what we're going to do is we're going to travel during the winter. And we're going to travel in the mountains where nobody would do. And Hannibal took hundreds of thousands of soldiers and thousands of elephants and went through the Alps and crossed over. And it was such a miserable trip that he lost 2/3 of his men. They died. And he lost 90% of his elephants. And they died. But when they came out and they emerged on Roman soil, Rome was like, what are you doing here? And he was the first ever to conquer Rome, a black guy. And he did not get killed in battle. He was victorious in every battle and went home and retired. And that's Hannibal. But the time that kings would oftentimes go to war was spring, because spring was the time of movement. So when you want to move, or summer, when you want to move, you got to say, is this a good time for me to make this move? And so the question is, what season am I in? You see what I'm saying? See how I say to your thinking? This ain't the season right now. No, that's not a good time. Why? Because we ain't in harvest season yet right now. We still in rainy season. Things still going. This ain't a good time to start this right now. That makes sense. Proverbs 10:5 says, He who gathers in the summer, that's harvest, is a prudent son. So during your summer and during your harvest, what you should be doing is you should be gathering, not consuming. See, it's getting quiet. Listen, this is, I know I'm really helping y'all. Because when you think about it, you say, wait a minute, during the harvest, I'm sitting in the middle of the field eating. The minute I get $10,000, I'm going to buy something. I can't stand to have it in my account. I can't stand to look at my account and to have all them zeros and that decimal point way down there with some commas. That's offensive to me. That means I need to spend. And you don't realize that's the time where you need to gather a prudent son, right? Listen, and you need to be setting things up. So when I got a lot, then I'm thinking, how do I leverage this for something greater? I'm always thinking, listen, so I think always in two spectrums, seed time and harvest. That's why I think about it. Genesis 8:22. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest. Get this, summer and winter shall not cease. They only thought about two seasons. So the question you have to ask yourself, is it seed time or is it harvest? And if it's seed time, what am I sowing? Because all I'm doing is setting up my harvest. But if I take seed time and I make seed time consumption time, then I'm eating all of my seed and all my fruit, and I'm setting up a season now where I have no harvest. Am I making sense? So that means this. If you are a spender, you just gotta buy. You have to realize that if you are a gotta buy person, you are somebody else's harvest. Timu is not blessing you. You're their harvest. Oh, see, it got quiet in here. Amazon is not giving you a special deal. You're their harvest. I said, y'all like keep it moving. I'm talking, it's making too much sense to y'all now. Y'all like keep it moving. Keep all that sensible stuff for somewhere else. Tell us about hope. Tell us about hope. Tell us about hope. I hope you're hearing me. Matthew 24:35. Jesus curses. Listen, Jesus is the only time we see, Dr. Z, the only time we see, saints of God, Jesus going and he curses an object. He curses the fig tree. Why? Because it was not producing what it should have been producing. He was like, get rid of this. So ask your neighbor, say, if Jesus approached you, would he tell the vine dresser to dig you up? Would he ask the vine dresser, why is he wasting his time on you? I didn't say it. I told you to ask somebody. See, you got to. Yeah, that's a question you got to ask. Well, I don't know. I don't believe that Jesus would. I don't believe that Jesus would. He's so full of love that he would not do that to me. He told the tree, curse it. Dig it up. Why are you wasting time with this? Am I making sense? So now, winter is, so y'all got summer, right? And then winter. Am I teaching all right? So now, winter is this. Winter is the time of vulnerability and testing. Winter is the time of vulnerability and testing. So when I'm vulnerable and I'm being tested, I realize that it's winter. Wait. I'm not being beat up. I'm not being attacked. It's winter. I recognize seasons now. So now when things ain't going my way and everything is, and it's hard to do, I recognize it ain't God mad at me. It's winter. It's just a season. So now I need to be operating differently now. Am I making sense? Put down your drink, put down your weed, and pick up some seed and start sowing it and getting it ready for the harvest. I'm just going through. Don't nobody know. It's wintertime. In Acts 27, Paul says, hey, don't come here because it's winter. Don't move here because it's winter. We can't pull the ship in because it's winter. Winter is the time where they're like, hey, just take the time to do all that. Am I making sense? A Song of Solomon said, listen, it said, hey, winter has passed. So now that winter's passed, we can make a move. Paul says in 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, he says, hey, when y'all come to get me out, when y'all come and check me out in jail, he said, can you bring me a cloak? Can you bring me something? So Paul tells them, don't move. Timothy said, Paul says here, bring me a cloak. Listen, Mark 13 says, hey, I hope that this don't happen during the winter. Because it's an understanding of, but you understand now, it's an understanding of biblical seasons. So when I recognize then I know that, wait a minute, there's some things I should be doing right now. And there's some things I shouldn't be doing now because I recognize my season. Am I making sense? So now, how do we know this? Because listen, when you look at God in creation, in Genesis 1:14, God said this. He says, I created the lights for signs of seasons. So he says, I created the sun and the moon and the stars to give you signs of what season it is. I can look at the moon and say, okay, this is what's happening in the lunar cycle. So he's like, I gave you nature so that you can look around and see what season it's in. That the tide and the water and the movement of the ocean is linked to the season of the moon. It's linked to how close the moon is to the earth and the gravitational pull, and it adjusts the tide. So everything is connected to seasons. But I never think about, could you imagine, I have no wherewithal about season, and it is the most important thing in my life. And I am oblivious. I'm what's the word? Oblivious. Is that right? Did I say it right? I'm going to leave it alone then. Amen. My brain is like, you didn't say that right. Leave it alone. I'm believe God. Y'all tell me the truth. And so we've got, listen, in Psalms 104:19, he says, he made the moon marks for season. So look at your neighbor and say, you got to know what season you're in. See, listen, I'm going to help you with this. See, when you understand seasons, deaconess, when you understand seasons, it starts to settle your emotions. Because my problem is I'm emotionally driven, not seasonal driven. So I feel like running right now. I feel like getting out of here. Ah! What's happening? I'm having a bad moment. And you don't realize, you can have a bad moment, but you don't realize harvest is on the way. What do you mean? How do you know? Look at the season around you. Well, I don't know. I just feel like running sometime. Okay, well, don't run now. A harvest is coming. So you finna run away from the thing. Listen, why did you take X amount of years to sow the kingdom into you? And you've taken all these years to sow the kingdom into you. And you learn the kingdom for the first time. You learn the Bible for the first time. And you've sown all these seasons. It's making sense to you. The Bible is making sense. You're like, wow, I never understood that. Man, that makes sense. And the devil says, don't worry about all that. All I got to do is throw a rock, put a pebble in your shoe. And a pebble in your shoe, you will abort everything. Listen, 2 years you've grown. One situation, I think my season is up. You ask, well, why do you say that? Because right now I'm having a hard time. Listen, the farmer who has a lot of harvest has a hard time. When Jesus told them to send the boat out again, and they said, "Man, we've been out all night." He said, "No." He said, "Go back out again. This time, go to the deep." So they went out to the deep. Then they said, "Wait a minute, this is too much. We're having a hard time. We need some help." But none of them got off the boat and started swimming to shore. You, with your old dumb bunny self, you're gonna leave the net, the fish, the boat, all that work you did, and now you doing the breaststroke, trying to get back to shore because you had an emotional reaction because the boat rocked one time. Am I making sense? Now, so that means this, that God told us that everything happens by seasons. Listen, in fact, Paul said in Acts 14 and 17, and he also said it in Jeremiah 5, he says, the seasons are the testimony of the Lord. When I look at a season, it's God saying, look and see what I'm doing. See the harvest coming? That's because of me. See the blessing coming? I did that. So when I think about, so now, I don't know when God is blessing me. God said, well, where's the harvest? I'm not having a harvest right now, Pastor. Okay, then it's seed time. You see how, okay, it's seed time. Well, I didn't want to sow seed. Well, then you ain't gonna get no harvest. Because it's only seed time and harvest, according to Genesis 8. It's only summer and winter, according to Genesis. So now the question is, are you in summer or are you in winter? Now, that's the conversation we're having. Bump your feelings, put those in the trash, and start thinking, now what season am I in? And let me calm myself down, and let me adjust to the season. I'm gonna make sense, not adjust to the state. I mean, cry, but get your harvest. Tell somebody, listen, I done sowed too much seed in here. I'd be doggone if I'm going to sit right here and leave unless you get my harvest. I done sown a lot of seed. My harvest is coming. And so I'm going to sit right here with my mad, frustrated self and let my harvest come in. I'll be doggone if I'm leaving. See, listen, seasons are under divine control. Daniel said this, God alone changes the times and seasons. So my seasons aren't things that just happen. God is like, and watch what I'm getting ready to do. Am I making sense? So sometimes we've run out because the devil's greatest trick is to make you run away from your harvest. Now you know many of us, we're scary. We're scary and you do that in a minute. And yes, you heard something. You heard your harvest coming. But now your harvest is like, hey, here I am. I don't play around with that. This is some spooky stuff. So Daniel says God has authority to put kings and queens in places for a season. So God's like, so when I'm saying season, I'm like, well, they're there for God to do something with them. We'll see. Just season. Chill out. I'm going to let God do what he does. I ain't stressed out. You know why? God's in control. Am I making sense? So now, look, Psalm 74 and 17. It says, you have fixed all the boundaries of the earth, and you have made summer and winter. Look in the text for fall. Look for it. You're going to see summer and winter, summer and winter, summer and winter. So all of your interpretations on, I feel like the Lord is saying, and it's like, I'm in my fall season where it's cool. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's seed time and harvest. Well, what if I don't have anything to sow? Those are the bad consequences. Because you consumed whatever you had. So what do I do? You in winter, right? So it's seed time. So. I'm making sense. Life gets real simple when you think about it like that. Seed time, harvest. I'm 20-some years old. It's seed time. Build up, grow, store, stack, build. Get your credentials, get your degrees, get your experience. You ain't got no pride in 20s. You 20-something. It's seed time. Your pride is go to work. Do what they say. I need to be respected. Every 1st to 15th. Your respect is coming. Every 1st to 15th. You're not going to talk to me that way. You don't understand who I am. No, you don't understand the seed time. Am I making sense? So your teens, your 20s, your 30s, seed time. You just stack it. You work. That's why you got all that energy. Work. That's why your back don't hurt. Work. That's why you can remember everything. Work, learn, read, learn. And you blowing your 20-something brain cells on weed and TikTok. You got all them good old brain cells. And we 50-something trying to remember why we walked into the room. I came in here. I know I had the pen in my hand, and I walked in this room. And I knew I came in here for something. See? Just get 50. You'll do it one time, and you're like, whoa. At 20, you get up from the dinner table, you're like, woo. But at 50, you're like, stand. Slide the chair back. Take a step back. Step to the side. Wait. Balance yourself. Get a grip on everything. Okay, now move forward. At 20-something, you spin it and twist it. And at 50-something, you're like, wait. Move back. Everybody move. What you trying to do? I'm trying to stand up. Wait. Move now. Get back now. You wasting, but that's why your body and your mind is what it is at a certain age. Because that's the age where you're supposed to be stacking and building and building energy. Why? At 50-something, you're supposed to be now we're entering a harvest. You say, what? At 50-something? Listen, most of your presidents are presidents. Most of your CEOs aren't CEOs until they 50-something. Because you ain't learned enough. You don't know nothing. So those of you under 50, you in stacking season. So stop trying to buy stuff you ain't got no business buying. You can't afford the maintenance on it. Let it alone. And let it come when you can afford the maintenance. Am I making sense? See, it's quiet now. So you want to ride large at 20, but you was dumb in high school. Seed time, harvest. Now, that means I've got to now think for this next season. What I got to start thinking, I'm like, I've got to think differently because I've never thought about seasons. And since when I think about seasons, now it means that I gotta change how I'm operating. He tells them, remember Deuteronomy, he says, how it was in Egypt, it's not how it's gonna be. How are you planting and you had to water by foot? Now you got to look and see when the rain's coming. And know how to move water, not how to carry it. Am I making sense? It's a different season. Somebody say next.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you like this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to the Rock ATX on YouTube and follow the Rock ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all the Rock is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.